Good evening and welcome to round 2 of the Continental GT Challenge, hosted by Phoenix Sim Racing. Welcome to everyone in the YouTube chat. Welcome to everyone that's watching this evening. And first and foremost, an apology from us for last week's stream. Some technical issues meant that we were unable to stream the exciting racing that we had going on. And I'm aware that some people would have already seen it from a recording that we had to do, unfortunately due to internet issues and technical things outside of our control. We were unable to stream the race, which was incredibly frustrating for all of us. But fingers crossed, should all be now fixed. So, a big welcome to all of you, and here we are now, round 2 at Sebring. I'm joined by my co-commentator, Thomas Merritt. Thomas, how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And you?
Oh, living the dream. Now everything's working. That's the main thing. Now everything's working. But look, we were talking a little bit off stream, but just tell us a little bit about your real life racing. Some great results at the weekend. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so I was racing at Mallory Park last weekend. Very good weekend for the championship overall. We missed Friday testing because of a history GCSE, which wasn't ideal. But I'm just in that very busy period at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, free practice, we were P3. Qualifying, we didn't get the pressures quite right with the tyres, so we were down in P6, which is not ideally where we wanted to be. But going into the races, we managed to get up to P4 in race 1, and then we managed to win the second race due to a penalty. Where we finished second on the road but got bumped up to the win. So a really good weekend for the championship overall, picking up a few fast laps as well, which was good for the championship. So yeah, can't complain at the moment, living the dream.
Sounds absolutely lovely. At the end of the day, you've got to be in it to win it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Technicalities and things like that, they come your way. Same in F1, right? But no, absolutely awesome. Some great results. And yeah, great to see that your Fiesta Championship is doing incredibly well. So, just looking back on Monza, what a couple of races it was. Carl Felvis, driver of the round, won both races, 2 fastest laps, and coincidentally isn't here this evening. So, Carl taking it as a drop round, several drivers taking Sebring as a drop round. Potentially because of the bumpiness of the circuit and how hard it is to drive. So we have a reduced size grid, but what that does allow is a number of drivers to be able to jump in and potentially win themselves a race. So I think we've got about 13, 14 drivers this evening, potentially slightly more. But should make for a great night's racing. Thomas, have you managed to do any testing around the track? I know there's a lot of drivers complaining about the last corner and the first corner and how bumpy it is and running that wide. I mean, I've seen in the official practice a lot of drivers getting very squirrely across a number of different corners around this track. It looks like setup is going to play a big part of this evening's racing and just being able to nail that fastest lap.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of testing, only ran a few laps just because of timing issues. But yeah, it's a very, very difficult circuit. Obviously, turn 1 and the final corner is extremely bumpy. So trying to get those just right is, yeah, it's definitely very tricky. Obviously, we've seen the curbs are very aggressive. And I think the Mustang might thrive around here because of the straight line speed. Obviously, the Porsches and the Ferrari is very low to the ground, so they could potentially struggle. You know, so yeah, we'll wait and see. But I think we're in for a very good night's racing. There's, you know, 5 tenths in the top 4, so it's going to be very close. And I think we're in for a good night's racing, like I mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. And Nathan Williams actually rounding out free practice with a 59.5. Winnicky Taylor with 59.6. And Gazior with a 2-minute dead. Times are incredibly close across a lot of these drivers, and it's going to make for an exciting night's racing. But whilst we wait for the drivers to come out of free practice, get the car fueled, tyres changed and ready to go for qualifying, let's have a look at the top scorers from round 1 at Monza. So Carl Felvis, like we said, driver of the round, HFT Racing, won both races in style. 2 fastest laps as well. Cleaned up, shall we say, and leading the championship as it stands, taking this round as a drop round, more than likely strategically more than anything. But Nathan Williams in P2, again for HFT Racing, so HFT lockout for first and second place in the championship at the moment. And then Lorenzo Cotalesa in P3 for ESGP, doing very well in P3. So we have a look at the driver's standings then. So again, Carl Felvis leading the pack with 62 points. Nathan Williams with 56 in P2. Lorenzo Paoletta, P3 with 50 points. Kugler Kasper, 42 points in P4 with Albert Henriksen Bell tying with him for 4th place. 42 points, and then Jordan Taylor P6 with 38, Nicky Taylor P7 with 34, Oliver Watson for Watson Racing with 34 points also, so tying with Nicky for P7, and Agaziel Kasper 28 points in P9, and Reese Bell in P10 ran out the top 10 for Phoenix in Racing with 22 points. And just touching base on the Mustang aspect, and what a return for Reese Bell, especially on last week's racing. Very unfortunate for him that he got caught in some incidents, but running his own race, went from the back to the front, and just showed his dominance after a long hiatus from sim racing. And I'm sure he'll be looking to make his way back up this week and gain some valuable points in this championship. He's an incredibly quick driver. So this is it, Sebring, where we're at, going into qualifying. Who's your money on?
It would have to be Nathan Williams, I think, to be honest with you. His pace has been looking really good. Obviously, we saw him get that 2nd place and recover nicely from a few incidents in race 2 at Monza. And, you know, he's showing good pace. He's got some weight. He's got 27 kg to contend with. And you see him letting a few people past here, potentially trying to go for a tow. Just getting those tyres and brakes nice and warm. Because you've only got 8 minutes and it's quite a long lap here compared to Monza, you know, an extra 15-20 seconds. Yep. So the drivers will have to be contending with that as well, which could play an interesting factor. Obviously, we saw the Porsche was extremely quick at Monza, but like we said, we don't know if they could potentially struggle around here. But then again, the box sort of evens it out with this extra weight that's been applied from race 1. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see, but I think currently it's got to be on either Nathan Williams or, you know, Nicky Taylor was also looking fairly quick as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's a number of drivers that were saying that, you know, the ballast that's been applied to them is really hurting them and hampering their performance around Sebring, especially with the bumpiness of the track. It seems to be that those without the ballast are almost heavily favoured per se. So that might shake up the run order, especially for qualifying and also race 1 and race 2. So it'd be interesting to see what that looks like. As we see a lot of the drivers really trying to get the tyres warm, really weaving the cars, get them into the optimum window and ready to go for their out laps, and then into qualifying race trim ready to go. As we now see Nathan Williams on a fast lap now, and see what he can do. Obviously bank laps in is going to be the first priority, and then from there obviously look to see what they can do the remaining sort of 6.5 minutes. But again, it's one of those where, you know, it is a long lap round here compared to most tracks, you know, like the likes of Monza. So, you know, consistency is key on this one. And actually they need to be very careful that, you know, they don't mess up a lap or, you know, exceed track limits and get a track cut and invalidate the lap, I say.
Yeah, and it's extremely easy to do around here. Obviously, like, you don't have grass or gravel to prevent you from using those track limits, and it's quite difficult to find out where they are. So it is very, very easy to pick up a track limit infringement around here. So the drivers, that's another thing they'll have to be contending with. So, you know, there's a lot of factors tonight that are going to be playing against the driver's factor. We see Nathan Williams on his first flyer here, a 46 dead in the first sector, followed by a 47 dead. As he rounds the final corner, you can see that Porsche bumping and bouncing all over the place. He's slightly wide of the apex, so hasn't maximised all of the road on the exit. He's going to come up to the line now, and the opening lap is going to be 59.8. That is not a bad lap to kick things off, but there was definitely more in it from practice. As we see Nicky Taylor jump to the top now with a 0.7, 1/10 quicker than Nathan Williams, but we saw where Nathan's time was lost in that final corner, so he'll be pushing on for another 5.5 minutes trying to get that lap back.
Yeah, indeed. We're actually on board with Nicky Taylor, and he's managed to get it a little bit sideways and spinning almost 1080 through the first corner. I think just go to show the bump. So I think the key aspects of this circuit are going to be around the last corner and the first corner. That's where the drivers were struggling, and they definitely caught Nicky out. Luckily, he managed to get his bank lap in, and actually an incredibly good bank lap with a 59.7. You know, in the practice times we did see 59.3s. So it's about half a second in there, but you know this is the way again. There's 5 minutes of qualifying left. got to get that banker lap in, so it's got to be a semi-decent lap with the tyres warmed up, ready to go. And then from there you can sort of progress on as Adam Lyle now goes P1 with a 59.2, so that's more like the pace that we saw in free practice. And that's sort of the, to be completely honest, that's going to be the time to beat. As again, we're on board with Nicky Taylor here. He's more than likely going to be on the cool-down lap now. Get the tyres in the optimum window and then go again for another run. So I'm going to say he's more than likely fueled for the full session. He's going to go with it. But these Porsches definitely struggling with the bumps, especially on that last and first corner.
Yeah, I've just seen Nathan Williams. He's ran slightly wide and bounced across the curb through this middle sector here. He is 4/10 up currently on his personal best. So he's now approaching the final corner. I seem to think there's a bit more time here, but you never know. That could be the line through there. He's going to get all the way up to 6th gear before he trail brakes into the corner. Turning whilst braking, it's such a tricky corner. Going to run it out wide to bring the car back in. Off the brakes now, back on the throttle. Seems to be a little bit nicer. He's had to use more of the exit there. And he's going to come up to the line underneath the bridge. He was up by 6/10, and he goes to the top with a 59.1. 1.5 tenths quicker than Adam Lyle. So yeah, a nice lap there from Nathan. But I don't think it's over with Adam and Nicky both looking fierce behind.
Yeah, no, indeed, and you could just see how hard it is to drive the car around here, especially in the Porsche. You know, there's talks of the Mustang just being a little bit easier to drive around here as we're on board. We're currently viewing Reece Bell in P10. He's going to cross the line. Not quite the lap that he was after, but he's got 3 minutes 20 left to go, so he's got the opportunity now to cool down these tyres, get round, get set, and go back out for another qualifying run more than anything. But you've got to say that time from Nathan Williams, that's going to be one to beat. It almost looked like there was more time in it, but the Porsche's got to be so careful around that last corner. You could see it really hesitant on the throttle. Just so the rear end doesn't step out. I mean, it's going to be incredibly tricky for these drivers, and I'm surprised, to be honest, that there's not been more people spinning off or sort of going around in circles more than anything.
Exactly, and this just goes to show the talent of drivers, right?
As I say that, Ethan Hill round in circles in the Porsche and off the track in P4. It's great. The commentator's curse is right. I've never seen anything like it, but it just seems to be as soon as we talk about anyone, they're either in a wall or they're rounding themselves. But it is what it is. I will stay quiet from this point on about anyone's endeavours. And we'll let them do their qualifying with 2 minutes 10 left to go.
Here we go now. So we see Nathan Williams matched his sectors through sectors 1 and 2. He's matched his delta as he approaches the final corner. This infamous final corner, he's going to brake, get down the gears, get it in nice and early. Still a little bit wide of that wall, but this could be the line potentially through here. And he has used more of the exit curve that time. But he's down by a tenth. He's bringing it back up to the line. Is it any improvement? No, it's not. However, I've just seen on the timing line that Adam Lyle has gone purple in sector 1. So he is on one here in the Ferrari 296. We did see him, you know, he was quick at Monza, but just a few incidents holding him back from a good position in the races. But he's really good over this one lap pace, and we could be on to see another potential pole position, or definitely top 3 from Adam Lyle here. He's a little bit wide about Apex, but he's got back to the throttle nicely. He's going to be up the gears, approaching this very, very tricky sector here. Double flat left, keep your foot in, run it out a little bit wide, to then bring it back down the gears, either 3rd or 2nd gear, depending on driver's preferences, before running it out to that wide curb, bring it back over to the left, opening up the corner as much as possible. He's wide of the apex though,
Very wide,
but it
there,
looks okay. He's still better, he's still 2 tenths up so far, so I think he could be potentially on for a better lap and potentially first, if he can get this final corner right. Going to be up to 6th gear, all the way over to the left hand side, before we brake, get nowhere near the wall, and he's backed off and he's going to go for another quick one.
Yeah, it looks like it in a strange, because you know, he was only 5 tenths up in sector 1. I wonder if he's still going to be able to cross this line and actually take a slightly better lap than what he's predicting. No, he doesn't. With a 2 minute 3. So yeah, as you were right there, lost out in that sector 3. Definitely went incredibly wide, and it's difficult, isn't it? Because you almost run offline completely, almost off the circuit. See, a lot of drivers do this across multiple series, where they go completely off the circuit. That's the preferred racing line from everyone, and that's what's allowed. But yeah, just carried a little bit too much speed, didn't get on the brakes hard enough, and ran himself out wide, and that cost him massively. But if he can replicate that first sector that he had in that Ferrari, you know, potentially this is a Ferrari preferred circuit. But you know, it doesn't look like the that Adam's struggling as much as what some of these Porsches are with the runs that they're doing. But as you see now, there's a number of drivers now crossing the finish line. You know, qualifying is now done. So Nathan Williams in to the pit, so that's him done now with a 59.158, and he's got provisional pole here. It's down to Adam Lyle and Nicky Taylor now, as Nicky gets it very sideways just on the exit curve down the straight. Is he going to be able to put in the lap? I have a funny feeling he's messed up somewhere around the track, but we'll pay attention to here as we go on board with him now into the last corner. It's going to be very delicate and very easy, as you see, just waiting for the car, waiting for the bumps, then rotating, gets it a little bit sideways, is having to correct the steering, runs it nice out wide, and let's just see if he takes that run. But I have a funny thing, it's not going to be enough. Not going to be enough to take Nathan Williams, and it isn't. It's a 59.7 from Nicky Taylor. So eyes are on Adam Lyle now, who's up on his time. It's going to be incredibly close. He's going to definitely be in the ones if he can capitalise on this last corner. But it's all to play for. Is Nathan Williams going to be able to secure that P1 pole that he's been desperate for? Or is Adam Lyle going to be able to take it away from him? A very clean run, but again, no, he's backed off. So Adam Lyle in now. So that's P2 solidified for him. So the qualifying standings, Nathan Williams takes pole here at Sebring for round 2 of the GT Challenge. The 59.158. Adam Lyle with 59.282. And then Nicky Taylor in P3 with a 59.711. Well, that was
really
interesting.
Yeah, I was about to say, that really surprised me about Adam Lyle, who's 6/10 up going into that final corner, and he seems to get it pretty right, and then he came in the pits, so I don't really understand what the thought process was there, unless he's saving it all for the race, to try and, you know, maybe get Nathan a little bit overconfident to then pounce back and really show his true colours. But yeah, an interesting choice there, but it's the usual names at the top, isn't it? You know, Nathan, Adam and Nicky, and then Ethan following close behind. I think we're in for a good race, especially with the times this close.
No, indeed. It's great to see Ethan Hill fighting up at the top of the pack, and you know, qualifying P4. I'm sure he's going to be incredibly happy with that, with all the PC issues that he's had in the previous championship. So yeah, absolutely stellar result for him. I'm sure he'll be incredibly happy with that one. And then we look at the likes of Josh Martin, P9s are just not quite where he needed to be, and then Reece Bell P11 for Phoenix Sim Racing. So there's some time to be made here, but again, with how bumpy this track is, it could be anyone's race. You know, these Porsches look to be incredibly difficult around here and a bit of a handful, so I can only imagine what they're going to be like after several laps of running, you know, 30-minute races. These tyres are going to be screaming by the end of it, but we will let these cars all come back into the pits. They're going to get themselves fueled and ready to go, and then we will move on to an ad break quickly before we move on to our qualifying interviews.
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Nerd PC Turbo Tech Reviews. Now today is something a little bit different. Normally we do just reviews on a single item, but today we're going to be showing you guys what you can expect from Nerd PC. Nerd PC is a bespoke building company where you can get absolutely any sort of style of gaming PC, office work PC, retail, or even for school work. This PC here demonstrates how small they can be, but yet still pack an absolute powerful punch. So from such a small computer like this, you may be worrying about heat, but these fans inside of here keep it absolutely ice cold as well as quiet. Now listen to this. Nice and quiet. Beautiful. Now we build completely different style of computers. Like I said, from this little one up here, it's all down to you. You get to decide on which case you want to use. You get to decide if you want it all flashy and RGB. You get to decide whether you want it completely plain and black. Remember, we did the hard part of figuring out which components work best for you for your value for money, but you get to decide on how it looks. If you're after something that's in your face, some bright and powerful as this. So this build here is in a Gigabyte C102 glass Arctic Ice case with 320mm cooler master fans at the front, 360mm all-in-one cooler at the top. This full white ice build does look insane, and I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. So if you're on the market for a brand new shining gaming computer, or if you want a computer for home use, retail, or office work, it's completely down to you. We just make it happen. So if you haven't done already, go and head over to the website at www.nerdpc.co.uk, have a browse through, see what's on there, or drop us a message directly on Facebook, and we'll do our absolute best to make it happen for you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you did enjoy this video, hit the like for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!
Come back after a very entertaining qualifying session there. Really interesting watching, obviously, the Ferraris and the Porsches struggling, through the bumps in the final and first corner. What better insight to get than your pole position, Nathan Williams. Nathan, how was that qualifying for yourself?
It was quite just a normal qualifying. I think I managed to get to the front of the field and then I sort of just put some laps in. They didn't feel amazing, but compared to times I've been doing all week, they were a lot faster than I've been doing. So yeah, it was quite a good session.
Brilliant. And second of all, obviously, the Porsches being one of the lowest, if not the lowest GT3 to the ground, watching the bumps through the final and first sector, really, does it affect the car much, or does it look a lot worse from the outside?
I think it affects the car a lot. It's so difficult to get around them. It's got to the point where there's a big bump on the apex of the final corner and you just drive around it. There's no point going over it because it's a 50-50 whether you spin. I think also the ballast makes it a tiny bit worse from what we've been seeing. But
Well, it was really interesting, obviously, watching that wider line you take at the final corner. I did actually pick up on it, but now you've mentioned that, obviously, it makes a lot more sense, because it's sort of the more abnormal line to take. Finally, is there anyone you'd like to thank whilst you're on the stream for getting this position?
I'd like to thank all my family, my parents, as well as my sponsors, PV Williams Sheet Metal, and this year I'm also supporting DKMS, who are a stem cell charity.
Brilliant, thank you, Nathan, and best of luck for the races.
Thank you.
Well, there we have it then. Our P1 pole sitter, Nathan Williams, taking that qualifying pole position that you must say he rightly deserves. I think he's come on leaps and bounds since the first race at Monza and has adapted incredibly quickly to these rear-wheel drive cars and put himself in a great position. Now, hopefully, with a bit of luck, as we normally do, we pull someone in randomly out of the blue, and the person this time is going to be Josh Martin. Josh Martin, are you here? Are you live? And are you direct?
I've just got back in my seat.
Hey, look at that. Perfect. It's almost like it was pre-planned. It was staged.
I bet it was.
So, Josh, look, just talk us through this, right? You've been through the F4 Championship. You've done your races there. You're in the GT Challenge now, and you're flying around the circuit. Just talk us through Sebring. How's it feeling?
Bumpy. There's not a bit of a track you're driving on where you're not going over a bump. And for a first round in a brand new car, it's probably not the ideal get into the groove of it kind of track, getting the setup all dialed in and whatever, but no, I feel like I got a good race setup. But yeah, my quali laps weren't the best, so I was a little bit out of position, I think, but we'll see where I end up.
So Josh, just tell me, how long did you spend on your qualifying setup, or was this very much I'm going to do this about 5 minutes before the event and try and dial something in?
I don't know what you're trying to suggest. I'm always really well prepared.
As always.
No, I haven't.
As always.
I did more practice Monday and Tuesday than I think I did in pretty much the entire of the F4 Championship.
Oh, wow.
I still haven't got a qualifying setup, but my race setup's pretty strong, so that's what I'm rocking with.
So, so where do you see yourself this race? So, first race, tell me now, game plan from lights out. What you envisioning?
Well, there's a very inspirational man to me. Always said the move's always on, so I'm going to dive bomb everyone into turn 1, come out in first, and then win.
I wonder who is that inspirational person. I honestly don't know who would ever say that the move was on, apart from the move was on. Hey, look.
It's some bandit I used to race against used to say it all the time.
Hey, that's crazy. You know, the fair play to that guy. He must have been an absolutely phenomenal driver. Fair play to him. Anyway, moving on. Josh, just talk to us about some of your rallying that you've been doing as well. Because I know you've been doing that recently. You've got 3 minutes till the race, so you need to wrap this up in probably about a minute's time. So yeah, speed run through your rallying.
Yes, you probably have seen him pop up before in the YouTube chat. Dave, he is my navigator, and we go and do. It's called Tiger Rallying, so it's not. It's like a stage rally, but it's all lower speed. And we've got a little MX-5 we use for that. And yeah, we're doing pretty well. We're in the top 3 in the championship we're in at the minute, and we got a round, the next round in 2 weeks, I think. So yeah, so no, that's going. It's going alright, and it gets my little driving urge out. And yeah, it's a good bit of fun.
Happy days. Well, look, just before I let you go, is there anyone you want to shout out on the stream? Any sponsors, any family, any friends, anyone like that? Dave, maybe?
I think Dave gets enough shout-outs, doesn't he?
He does. He does.
Well, I got my dog and my girlfriend sat just up there, so I guess I'll give them a shout-out.
Hey, that's what it is.
So yeah.
Happy days. Well, look, I'll let you get on and get set ready for the start of race 1. Best of luck, and you never know, might be speaking to you at the end of the race.
Hopefully so.
Good luck. Enjoy.
Cheers.
There we have it then. Josh Martin talking to us about his endeavours in his rallying and also about how he is going to be running himself through race 1 and put himself on pole and winning. So we'll see if that comes through, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. A minute left to go. As always, I'm going to completely stitch up Thomas Merritt and put him in the position where he is going to start the first race for us. So, Thomas, a minute left to go. Who's your money on?
I get asked this every single week.
I know.
And the answer is always the same. I have absolutely no idea. I think obviously Nathan's got the best chance, but Adam, we saw that qualifying time from him. That was something else, 6/10 up, and then he decided to bail out of it. And you know that Ferrari is looking extremely strong in the first sector across all the Ferraris, not just Adam. So you know the likes of Nicky Taylor and people like that in the Porsches a little bit further behind might have a bit of the race on their hands. As we're into the final minute now, obviously the drivers will be, you know, planning their run into the first corner and thinking about how to preserve those tyres.
I'm going to dive in and talk over. I apologise. Talk over top just before you start this. All the cars are side by side. This is going to be a drag race down to the start. Who's going to get the better start? That's going to be it. But before I call it, Ethan Hill, top 3. That's what I'm calling. But I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I just noticed that. That's going to be really interesting. It is going to be purely off of the best start. No advantages for anyone this time. We're inside the final 15 seconds now. The lights are going to illuminate, and we're going to get very, very soon. We're going to get eventually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally the 6th light is going to illuminate. As we wait, the revs build, and the lights are out. Nathan Williams gets going with a decent start there, ahead of Adam Lar, but Adam with a better start, better traction going up through the gears. Has he almost got Nathan before turn 1? Yes, he has. He's already got him. Ethan Hill looking on the inside of Nicky Taylor there, just trying to put him off his line a little bit. Nathan Williams with the run on Adam here, but Adam with an absolute monstrous start in that Ferrari. That was Yeah, it was mega, absolutely mega. As we're running into the first sector here, everyone seems to be staying roughly out of trouble. Looking down the field a little bit, there's a bit more carnage. Lorenzo has been caught up in it, along with a few others, not sure who. Josh Martin survived the start, I know that for sure. Reese Bell was involved. Vince Chan is spinning out of this race. Jacob Gann was survived. Olivia's also side by side with a great battle. And I think Oliver Watson was another driver involved as well. So yeah, not ideal for those drivers back there. But as for the start, Adam with a mega start, it's incredible. But he's got Nathan filling the mirrors here. So yeah, the battle is on.
Do you know what? I was almost going to leave you just to do the commentary there, because that was great. It was, I was locked in. I was ready to go. I was just flicking between cameras, looking at what was going on. But yeah, like you say, Adam Lyle with an absolutely incredible start there. Obviously, that Ferrari very quick off its marker and dropped Nathan Williams before the start of the first corner. So incredible stuff there. However, Nathan Williams tagged right onto the back of him, and you've got to say, Nicky Taylor not too far behind. You see him toe to toe, and you've got to say, is Nathan Williams going to be able to drag him down the straight? It looks like if he can get a great exit, which looks like he's going to. A little squirrely on the exit of that right-hander, but you've got to say tyres are going to be a little bit cold still, full fuel. He's going to be able to make it happen. Do you know what? It's almost like that Ferrari's trimmed its rear wing right down. And Nathan just not being able to get the toe, but it dives straight up the inside. The Ferrari's gone incredibly wide, and Nathan Williams takes P1 away from Adam Lyle, and off he goes in P1. But you've got to say, Adam Lyle now not going to take that lightly, and not setting himself up in the best position to go around the outside. And I think Nathan's going to have that one covered off. It's going to be last of the late breakers, but again, Adam Lyle going around the outside. Nathan Williams going to have the inside line coming into the next corner. Down into the second corner, sorry, and he closes that one off, and Adam Lyle thinks better of it.
Yeah, that was some tremendous racing there. It was interesting, actually, that final corner. Obviously, Nathan Williams mentioned in his interview that they run wide just to avoid that big bump on the inside. So Adam was doing just that. And Nathan felt brave and absolutely sent him down the inside, which was an incredible move. But Adam's not going to take lightly to that. Nathan has to cover it off, going a little bit deep into the corner. Adam's now got the drive out, and now it's going to be an absolute drag race to the next hairpin here. It has to be said, Nicky Taylor starting to drop off ever so slightly. And Albert down in P6 actually with the purple first sector. But Adam Lyle was going to dive back up the inside of Nathan Williams, get it stopped at the apex. A little bit of contact to the mid part of the corner, but nothing was illegal there. And he's back through into the race lead, which was, yeah, really good move there. But this is definitely not over. We've still got 26.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, definitely, and weirdly, even though the Porsche isn't great through that last corner, he definitely Nathan Williams definitely capitalised on Adam Lyle. Adam Lyle went incredibly wide. Whether he was just a little bit late on the brakes and had to run it out or whatnot, I'm not sure. But yeah, bumper to bumper racing right now, and you've got to say Nathan is going for the move, and he is lining Adam Lyle up as he dives up the inside. Thinks better of it, runs all over the curb, gets a little bit scribbly, but this has allowed Nicky Taylor into the mix now. And Nicky's going to be thinking, I want a little bit of this action as we go on board with him now. Tucked into the slipstream of the Porsche. They're all bobbing and weaving, trying to get out of each other's toe. But I think almost Nicky now, knowing that he's got a little bit of pace, you know, sticks to the inside line, but doesn't quite capitalise on the exit and loses a little bit of time there. But you've got to say, it's neck and neck between the Ferrari and the Porsche right now. It looks like almost the Ferrari's better in certain sectors, but then the Porsche comes alive in the last sector and really gets stuck in.
Yeah, interesting. That final sector was quite a bit to do with the toe and like quite a few fast, high-speed bits. So potentially that's where Nathan Williams is just capitalising. And as we said, Adam Lyle is now starting to build that gap ever so slightly. He's not having to go tight into these corners anymore, and that Ferrari does look extremely planted. So yeah, very positive for Adam here. Nathan though is going to have to be looking in his mirrors as well as defending from Nicky Taylor. Obviously they are teammates, so they'll be wanting to try and work to get past Adam. But at the moment, that Ferrari cannot be touched.
It can't, and you know, Adam Lyle now building out nearly a second gap to Nathan Williams, so it almost makes you think that maybe Nathan's thinking about the long game here, 25 minutes of the race to go, and maybe hoping that this Ferrari burns out his tyres a bit too much, and then he can capitalise towards the back end of the race. Obviously, we don't know how well the Ferrari and the Porsche conserve their tyres, so it's been an interesting one towards the latter stages, but as it stands right now, Adam Lyle disappearing off into the sunset, shall we say.
Yeah, exactly that. Obviously, Sebring is known for its sunsets, so you've got that just right. You've hit the nail on the head there. But yeah, first sector, 5/10 quicker than anyone else. That is incredible. Incredible pace being shown by this Ferrari with Adam Lyle behind the wheel. No one's got any answer for him at the moment. Obviously, they could be conserving tyres behind, and he could be really getting on with it. As I say that, Nathan Williams goes a 10th quicker than Adam and puts in the purple middle sector. But both of these guys are 2/10 quicker, respectively, than Nicky Taylor. So, yeah, really starting to drop Nicky. But, yeah, Adam's flying at the moment. Absolutely romping away. Obviously, we see Josh Martin. He's stayed in P9 after that little interview we had with him. He's looking all right. He's just staying on the back of Jacob Gannon here.
I was going to say, just off the back of that, Josh Martin and Jacob Gannon had a little bit of a collision through the chicane, just for the right-hander before the back straight towards the last corner, and it looked like Josh Martin was the one that came off worse, spinning a full 360, and now back down to P14. So a little bit of argy-bargy going on between the two of them, and that's not going to be what Josh Martin wants, especially off the back of his interview. But yeah, it looked like two didn't go into one, and neither of them were gonna let off. And yeah, Josh Martin came off worse out of the mix. But what is interesting to see, Nicky Taylor now 2.9 seconds off of the lead. Obviously, Nathan Williams only a second off the back of Adam Lyle, and he's sort of maintaining that gap. So potentially a bit more pace in that Porsche that Nathan's driving right now. But yeah, you got to say, unless he does something a little bit crazy, or starts putting the pressure on, which I think he probably should do at this point with the gap that they've got, Adam Lyle might well just drive off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his last lap was 7/10 quicker than anyone else out of the field. And then Nathan Williams was a further 9/10 quicker than Nicky Taylor. So, yeah, I mean, Adam Lyle last lap was 1.6 seconds quicker than Nicky Taylor. And like I mentioned, 7/10 quicker than Nathan. So he's really building that gap. Nathan, though, is not dropping too far like we would have expected him to be. Obviously, that is a big gap, but this lap he seems to have picked up the pace a little bit, or Adam's dropped off a little bit. But we're not even 10 minutes into this race, so drivers will have to be thinking about, saving tyres and fuel saving. This is one thing that we didn't have in the F4. Nathan Williams goes another further 10th quicker than Adam Lyle in the middle sector, so that Porsche really comes alive in that middle and final sector here. Really interestingly, it's obviously going on board with him ever so slightly. It just seems to be they can carry a little bit more on the brakes. As I say that, he runs very, very wide and almost hits the rear of his car on the tyre wall. So yeah, you have to be a little bit careful there, Nathan. But again, Adam Lyle with another purple sector, and yeah, he lost 8/10 on that final corner. So yeah, that little slide has big consequences. It just goes to show the competitiveness of this field.
Yeah, indeed, and we just see Josh Martin now overtaking Gazior for P10. So Josh Martin going from P14 back up to P10 already in the space of 2 laps. So just goes to show that Josh has got a little bit of pace in that car, and I'm sure he's going to be working his way back up the field. He's got a little bit of a sort of a gap now to Henriksen in P9 of about 3.5 seconds. So he's going to have to really put pedal to the metal now and start chasing after. But what we didn't see there was Reece Bell DNFing and back to the pit. So obviously something that we missed there. Maybe a little bit of contact between potentially him and maybe Jacob Gannon, because Jacob Gannon's now in the pits as well. So yeah, tough one for those two, but I'm sure they'll be back for race 2 and lighten things up. But as it stands now, Nathan Williams now 2 seconds off the back of Adam Lyle. It's almost like Nathan is maybe backing off and just conserving them tyres. There is still 20 minutes left of this race to go. I wonder if that Ferrari is a little bit harsher on the tyres, and maybe Nathan knows a little bit of something about what's going on here, because I feel like there's a bit more pace in that Porsche than what he's letting on.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you have got to be thinking about the reverse grid as well. He'll have an advantage on Adam if it stays like it is. But if he is conserving those tyres, you have to wonder whether or not he's letting off too much, just in case, he then can't claw that time back at the end of the race, which at the moment it looks like he can't, but you never know. Adam Lyle could be absolutely eating his tyres right here. We see a big slide from him going into the final corner, so having to be a little bit careful of that. I thought he was coming in the pits then, but he's not. He stays out, and another lap's being ticked off. But yeah, it's just really, really interesting to see. The gap stayed the same that last lap at 1.7 seconds. Just, that Ferrari quick in the first sector, and then the Porsche claws its way back in the second and third. So, yeah, it's just settling in now. Another 20 minutes, just staying nice, quick and consistent, and seeing where they end up at the end, really.
Yeah, as we see Ethan Hill now dropping back down the order. It looked like that Porsche got a little bit squirrely in the last corner, as we've been alluding to. It's getting a little bit sideways and dropping a position to Catricala, but you've almost got to say that this Porsche is a bit of a handful, as we see now. Catricala now going a bit wide in the Mustang, and that's promoted Ethan Hill back up to P5. You've got to say he's going to be ecstatic with that more than anything. Just the fact that, with all the issues that he's had, running P5, that's not a bad shout, and there's some absolutely cracking points that he potentially will earn, especially for HFT more than anything, off the back of this. But one thing I was paying attention to, now Adam Lyle DNFing out of the two first races at Monza, or the two races at Monza. Nathan Williams, obviously P2 in the championship. Realistically, he just needs points. So even if he gets P2 out of this race with 18 minutes left to go, he's still going to be well ahead. So maybe he's thinking more strategically around, let's bank the points. We don't have to chase after Adam. Potentially Adam is quicker, and maybe Nathan doesn't have the pace to catch him. But at the end of the day, he's still going to have the points advantage on him in the championship, and doesn't need to make any mistakes.
Interestingly, as you say, that Adam Lyle had the biggest slide through that chicane, and Nathan Williams is all over the back. He goes further 2/10 quicker in the middle sector with a purple sector to top things off, and he is now staring at the back of that Ferrari once again, and now he's well back in that tow. And with the bit of conserving at the beginning of the race, that is not what Adam needed, because that gap is gummed all the way down. And there's still 18 minutes left of pressure. Nathan Williams bangs in his quickest lap of the race, 2/10 off Adam Lyle's quickest, on a 59.516. And they're the only two in the 59s at the moment. Nicky Taylor is the third fastest car on a 20-point dead. So yeah, big gaps throughout this field. Adam's now going to have to knuckle back in and try and get that gap to Nathan. But Nathan, knowing that experience that he's got and good points at Monza, he'll just be looking to either get a second or capitalise on a mistake.
Yeah, exactly that, and I'm sure you'll know it's one of those situations where it's easier to be the hunter than it is to be the hunted. And I'm sure Adam will be on tenterhooks here, because he knows it. Another little mistake like that, and he could put himself in a bit of a dangerous situation here, where Nathan will capitalise. So, maybe Nathan's just playing the safe card, like I alluded to before, and just hanging back and just seeing if Adam makes a mistake. There's still 16 minutes left of this race to go, so we're not even at half race distance as we currently stand, but it's a good opportunity for him to get involved. But it is worth noting that the top three have cleared the rest of the grid by about 15 seconds.
Yeah, that is mental. Absolutely mental gaps in this race. Not at the F4. Big gaps in these GT3 cars. Obviously, big, heavy cars. Easier to, lose the car or drop the car and make a mistake. So, yeah, you have to be so careful to stay consistent in this car. Obviously, Casper's running a really good race in P4, so is Ethan Hill in P5, but these guys have just found something within the setup or their personal driving that is just making them romp away at the moment. Adam Lyle, after that mistake, has banged in a personal best in Sector 2 now, with a big slide again through the final corner. I've got to stop getting worried, because that just seems to be the norm, to be honest with you. But, yeah, it's really difficult circuit for these guys, not like Monza. So yeah, I mean, Adam Lyle with a 59.3 that last lap matched his personal best, and Nathan Williams on a 2-minute .2, so the gap's just gone back up. So yeah, it's really just coming in, going out, coming in, coming out. So as long as these drivers just keep the same, I think this is basically how we're going to see the end finish. But obviously we have seen lots of drivers spinning in qualifying and how easy it is to do. So, we're only halfway through this race.
Yeah, and look, let's also pay attention to the fact that, not so much, but Adam Lyle has had some difficult races, over this championship, previous championship, where, he's had some slight offs, or, lost the rear end of the car, or, as DNF, so it's still all to play for. There's a lot of pressure on for him to score these points in P1, and, Nathan Williams hasn't completely lost touch of him. He is 2 seconds behind him, but at the same time, I'm sure he'll be able to capitalise if Adam was to make a mistake. But it's, for the rest of the pack, as it currently stands at the moment, you've got Cotalesa, you're chasing down Catricala for P6, but you've got to say, you know, the likes of Ethan Hill, again, holding his own in P5, just running his own race. There's some good points for him. Josh Martin's not been able to capitalise on that P10. He's about 2 seconds off of Olivia Krzyżanowska in P9, who's also running an incredible race and doing incredibly well. So I'm sure she'll be happy with that one as she chases down Henriksen.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good race from Olivia. Made up very, very good positions. Probably just staying out of trouble there and making a few overtakes herself, which is really good to see. Nikki Taylor's really dropped off the back of these guys now. The gap's 4.1 seconds. So I think it's safe to say he's almost out of the equation unless these guys start battling. But, you know, 1.6 separating them at the moment. It'll be interesting to see if that tyre management has come into effect. Obviously, we've seen quite a few DNFs, such as Respell. That's really unfortunate. So it's not going to be ideal for them for the championship. Adam Lara now banging in a purple sector 3 there. 3 tenths quicker than Nathan Williams. The gap's now up to 2 seconds. So yeah, Adam just seems to just not be, his tyres or car just isn't going off. He's just found something in that setup where it just allows those tyres to stay at the optimal constantly, which is where you really want to be. So if he can keep finding that throughout the season, he'll be almost untouchable. Nathan Williams still doing a mega job in P2. Josh Martin's starting to close up that gap between Olivia now, and likewise Olivia's now gaining on Albert. So yeah, that should be a good battle to watch as well as we close into the final 13 minutes of the race.
Indeed, as we go on board now with Josh Martin hunting down Olivia for P9, you're going to say he's catching leaps and bounds at the moment. So clearly that Ferrari that he's got has got the pace. You know, we talk about the likes of Nathan Williams, Adam Lyle, you know, Nikki Taylor, but there's some battles going on in the mid-pack that look to be incredibly exciting. So we'll touch base here with Josh Martin, and we'll stay on board with him to see what he can do. But you've got to say he's maximising the use of the circuits. Olivia goes incredibly wide, gets a little bit of a nudge, has to almost back out of the corner as she almost went to run wide, and Josh Martin takes that position away from her. She's going to be frustrated with that one, just outbraked herself slightly going into there, and yeah, Josh Martin capitalising as she loses another position now to Watson, and again she's now stopped on track, so potentially an issue with the car, and she's returned back to the pit. So maybe a technical issue there, for Olivia, but yeah, that's a real shame with how well she was running.
Yeah, mega shame there. She was running a really, really good race, really solid race, you know, just staying nice and consistent, trying to bag some good points, which ultimately is what you need in this championship for the prizes at the end of it. Yeah, I don't really know what happened there. It just came out of the hairpin and it died on her. And obviously Josh was right behind, and a little bit of contact was made through, you know, no malicious intent, so there'll be no steward's inquiry about that. But yeah, it was just really, really interesting to see how the car died. I'm not sure if it was a technical issue or if the car just ran out of fuel or something. I'm not quite sure. It
could have been the case. Maybe it was a lack of load in the race setup or something like that. You never know in these situations. But yeah, a frustrating one for Olivia Krzyżanowska now, who's now back into the pits and DNFing from this session. So at least 12 drivers in this race. But I think it goes to show, look, the top three now, you know, within 7 seconds of one another. And then the rest of the grid, you know, anywhere from 20 seconds off the lead. So it just goes to show the driving capability of these top few, and how well they're actually doing, and the practice that they've put in. So, you know, there's some incredible stuff from them. But Nathan Williams now 3 seconds behind Adam Lara. You've got to say, with 10 minutes left to go of this race, unless Adam makes a serious mistake, Nathan Williams is going to have to settle for P2 and take the P2 points. But as we say that, Josh Martin takes P8 away from Albert Henriksen Bell, and clears him, and he's going to be chasing after Cotalesa now for P7. But quite a gap between them as Ethan Hill looks like he's had an off in the right-hander, and again running incredibly slow, and he's going to be picking up the pace. But you know, Josh Martin now potentially the opportunity to capitalise on that and take P6 away from him. So a cracking drive from Josh Martin to be able to come from P14 back of the pack after getting wiped out, and then yeah, making his way back through.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm not quite sure what happened with Albert, but I saw him going slow. going onto the back straight after sector 1. So I think potentially a little issue. And Josh Martin, you know, said didn't need a second invitation, as we see another spinner right in front of him. Who was that? I'm not quite. I think that was Ethan Hill again, spinning and backing it into the wall. So Josh Martin on this lap has gone from 9th to 7th, I believe. So yeah, mega recovery from him. If he can just keep it on the island and keep picking up the pieces, he's going to be finishing in a really positive spot. But it's a shame for Ethan Hill. He was running a really good race, really solid race. And unfortunately, his race is sort of almost over. He can keep pushing, but the gaps are so few and far between now. It'll be difficult for him to claw his way back.
Yeah, Ethan Hill really just struggling. More than anything, like you say, he was running in a really competent position there, and put himself in a difficult spot, and obviously spun that car. And the Porsche is tough round here, like we've alluded to it before. This Porsche does not like the curves. It does not like the bumps around the circuit, and if you haven't quite got that setup on point, you know, it's anyone's game, and you're almost hanging on for dear life. So, you know, we're going to see this throughout the season. There's going to be certain tracks that favour certain cars, and you know, the Ferrari might be stronger somewhere, or the Porsche might be stronger somewhere, or Mustang might be faster somewhere. But you know, it's all down to setup and really dialing that in and getting the laps in. And I think that pays testament to a lot of the drivers where you know, they're putting a lot of time and effort into practice laps and going round and round and round the circuit, and just dialing in and getting themselves into the right spot, which you don't see on the stream. All we see is the race, and you know, everyone dicing it out for position, but there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, you hear about these drivers putting in so much work and effort to try and get those setups completely and utterly dialed in. That's, you know, ultimately what you need to be able to do to be competitive in this, which is, you know, incredible to see. Adam Lyle dropped off quite significantly on that last lap on a 2:07, and Nathan Williams was on a 2:04, so 0.3 closed in. But it must be said, at a gap at 3.4 seconds, if it keeps coming down that much, it's not going to quite be enough. So yeah, Adam Lyle just staying nice and consistent now. Josh Martin bringing his times down ever more, interestingly. Last lap was his best on a 2:01.2. And this lap he's on another personal best. So yeah, times are very much coming down, and it would just be interesting to see when these drivers start really getting into the mix of it, what sort of lap times they'll be able to do. Josh Martin, like I said, he was on for a better one, and he's done a 2:09, so he's in the 2 minutes now. And last lap he was almost 2 seconds quicker than the person in front, Casper. So that gap is significantly coming down, and we could see a little battle on our hands. But the gap is very significantly come down between them. Josh Martin is almost staring at the back of him now. So yeah, I think we'll have a very good battle going on for the last 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, indeed, and riding on board with Josh Martin now as he tucks into the toe of the Porsche in front of him. You've got to say that Ferrari is looking incredibly quick that he's got. And fair play to him, going from P14 now to P7, and he doubled his position stake in this race. And yeah, I think he's out for blood at this point. But it's interesting to see the difference between, you know, where the Porsche and where the Ferrari is better throughout this track. It seems to be there's almost equal standing. Looks like the Porsche is better through the first half of the track, and in the second half the Ferrari's better through the first half of the track, and then the Porsche is better through the second half. And I think that's sort of paying homage here as we see Casper going very sideways at the corner, and that's given the opportunity for Josh Martin to get going and overtake him. And it almost looks like Casper missed a gear there, and that allowed Josh Martin to say thank you very much, I'll take that position away, and I'll crack on, albeit with a bit of sideways action from this Ferrari. So Josh Martin really running this Ferrari to the ragged edge right now, but doing an incredibly great job to get himself up to P6 and back in the points positions.
Yeah, he's doing a mega job. P6 from all the way down in P14 is absolutely incredible. He's got Lorenzo in front of him, which they have been running similar times, so potentially I think it's a little bit too late almost. It's quite a big gap, but you never know, there could be incidents that occur. The gap is coming down between Adam and Nathan. Adam's really backed off, I think potentially just solidifying his race win. But yeah, it's really interesting to see the spread out nature of these cars. They really build big gaps in between them all. And I'm not sure we're going to see much more overtaking and less incidents. Adam Lyle was a second quicker than Nathan Williams in Sector 1, so potentially a little hiccup from Nathan there. He's 1.1 seconds down on his personal best. But yeah, 4 minutes 40 left on the clock. People are just having to, solidify their positions now and potentially look further back than in front and make sure they get this position that they're in for the championship. We see another big sideways moment for Casper there. So that's allowed Josh Martin to just ever quickly gap Casper behind.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's one of these things. Joe, I'm just paying attention to Nicky Taylor because he seems to be able to keep himself up the top, up there. Okay, he's 9 seconds off the lead, but it's almost George Russell-esque more than anything. Sort of keeps himself out of trouble, just drives his own race. Okay, he's not lapping with the front two, but puts himself in a position which is great for points. And that's the biggest thing. Sometimes it's better not to get the race win, as crazy as that sounds, but actually just to bank the points and not take that well, I say the ballast more than anything of the car. Like as if Carl was racing this evening, he'd have that 30 kg of ballast, which, we spoke about this before. The ballast is hampering a lot of these drivers. So look, although he's not up there and chasing for the win, he's actually banking some really good points and could help him out further down the line.
Yeah, this is what he needs, right? We've seen him get involved in a few little incidents here and there. And although he is 20 seconds back, like you mentioned, he's just staying out of trouble and getting those nice consistent points, beating the likes of Casper and Lorenzo, who were beating him in Monza. This is just points he is clawing back. Josh Martin, out of all of them, to be fair, is the one that's lost the least time as the race goes on. He's still lapping at 2 minute 1.8, and Nathan Williams was on a 2 minute 1.4 last time. Nicky Taylor on a 2 minute 11, so I think potentially a little issue there. Alessandro on a 2 minute 2.1 and Lorenzo on a 2 minute 2.3. So Josh Martin is staying really consistent and still just pushing almost as quickly as he was at the beginning of the race. That Ferrari seems to be really dialed in. He said he got that race set up quite right. So, yeah, he's clearly playing into effect here. We're on the penultimate lap here. Adam Lyle has got a bit of traffic in front of him that he's potentially just going to have to watch out for. Hopefully they'll be nice and adhere to the blue flags. As he comes up to the final corner now for the penultimate time, like I mentioned. And this is just what he needs, right? After a very, very difficult Monza with 2 DNFs and some questionable moves, it must be said, to bounce back like this, even for just your personal confidence, must be mean a huge amount.
Yeah, indeed. And no, I think this is only one stage of the battle, right? Obviously, him winning this first race is one thing, and he's doing that almost dominantly. But the second part of it is if he wants to be up there with Carl in the championship, he needs to be able to win the second race too, or at least be up there in the top 3 to be in for a shout. So, this is the thing. The reverse grid race throws everything on its head. Obviously, you've got the slower drivers at the front of the grid, and that's what creates, all sorts of carnage potentially for some of the drivers, in the reverse grid races. And sometimes everyone comes through absolutely fine, and it's all good to go. But it's one of those. The points mean prizes, and that's what everyone's battling for at the end of the day. You got to say, Adam Lyle was, okay, fended off Nathan Williams at the start of the race, and I think Nathan's thinking, you know what, I'm just going to bank these points, and strategically, I'm going to look forward towards the latter races towards the end, and not take that ballast.
Yeah, certainly. He's already got 27 kg, and this is the thing, Adam Lyle's got none. So there's a very big playing factor there as well. Nicky Taylor on 12, Lorenzo on 24, Casper on 21. So yeah, there's a lot of drivers in this field that have got a lot of ballast, and obviously not only does that affect your straight line speed, that also affects your cornering performance. Some drivers have been complaining about it, in interviews and pre-race prep. So yeah, that's certainly one thing Nathan Williams has, been contending with this evening, but Adam Lyle's had none, so he's almost played it really well, where he can just get a really, really solid round here at Sebring, and be able to just get some decent points, even points on the board. He's got none so far, so even just taking this race win here would mean a whole amount, and you get past quite a few people in the Drivers' Championship anyway.
Yeah, indeed. As we see now, the clock tick down to 0. So Adam Lyle now coming around the last corner, and you're going to say he's going to take the win here at Sebring for the first race of 2, and does it in style. With Nathan Williams following behind, 5 seconds behind, and takes P2, and then Nicky Taylor with an off. A couple of laps ago, and that put him down 30 seconds behind. So you've got to say a dominant drive from the top 2. And Nicky Taylor, almost caught up by Catracala here and being chased down. You would have said it potentially 1 lap more and potentially would have been under pressure. But yeah, Nicky Taylor's going to take P3 in the first race. And yeah, what a race it was. Interesting to see the spread. Well, Nathan, I thought the drivers would be potentially a little bit closer to one another. But I think that some standouts here, Adam Lyle taking the win by 5 seconds. But then also the likes of Josh Martin in P6. Come back from P14 and obviously had the pace, and it would have been interesting to see what he could have done if he was not in that compromised situation earlier on in the race, and see what he could have done towards the back end, because he definitely had the pace. But yeah, an interesting race no less. So as we see the drivers now parade themselves back to the pits and celebrate their successes. We're going to go to a quick ad break, and they'll be looking to race interviews for race 1.
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Nerd PC Turbo Tech Reviews. Now today is something a little bit different. Normally we do just reviews on a single item, but today we're going to be showing you guys what you can expect from Nerd PC. Nerd PC is a bespoke building company where you can get absolutely any sort of style of gaming PC, office work PC, retail, or even for school work. This PC here demonstrates how small they can be, but yet still pack an absolute powerful punch. So from such a small computer like this, you may be worrying about heat, but these fans inside of here keep it absolutely ice cold as well as quiet. Now listen to this. Nice and quiet. Beautiful. Now we build completely different style of computers. Like I said, from this little one up here, it's all down to you. You get to decide on which case you want to use. You get to decide if you want it all flashy and RGB. You get to decide whether you want it completely plain and black. Remember, we did the hard part of figuring out which components work best for you for your value for money, but you get to decide on how it looks. If you're after something that's in your face, some bright and powerful as this. So this build here is in a Gigabyte C102 glass Arctic Ice case with 320mm cooler master fans at the front, 360mm all-in-one cooler at the top. This full white ice build does look insane, and I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. So if you're on the market for a brand new shining gaming computer, or if you want a computer for home use, retail, or office work, it's completely down to you. We just make it happen. So if you haven't done already, go and head over to the website at www.nerdpc.co.uk, have a browse through, see what's on there, or drop us a message directly on Facebook, and we'll do our absolute best to make it happen for you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you did enjoy this video, hit the like for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!
Hello everyone and welcome back after a very, very thrilling race 1 here at Sebring for the Phoenix Sim Racing GT Challenge. Nicky Taylor is your P3 man and we're going to be talking to him first. Nicky, how was that on your side of things? Obviously, we saw other people pushing a lot harder at the beginning of the race and struggling with tyre degradation. Is that something you were struggling with, or, how was that race on your end?
On the start of it, I got a decent start. Like, I got probably the best start out of the top 4, and then kind of just knew that with Sebring and with this car, there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities, especially from the distance back I was on Nathan. So I kind of just was happy to sit in behind Nathan and just kind of chill and work with him. And then yeah, the tyres fell off a cliff drastically, as I'm pretty sure Nathan will tell you as well. But yeah, I spun twice and still somehow I've managed to come away a third, and I, honest to God, couldn't tell you how.
Well, very, very good points for the championship. Is the Porsche, would you say, struggling more around here? Obviously, you don't really have a gauge. Obviously, you don't drive the Ferrari or the Mustang, but is it something you can sort of visibly see in the race that the Porsche is struggling? Obviously, they're very, very low to the ground, and with the heavy bumps and the nature of the circuit, is it just, eating tyres and difficult to drive?
I mean, in the second sector, we seem to be the fastest thing by some distance. It's just the first sector, the Ferrari seems to be rapid, and then the last corner, we are literally like an ice rink every single lap. So I don't know what to really do with the car, because it's a bit of redemption this race getting a podium, because my Monza, yeah, that was not a fun weekend or not a fun week. I should have. In my own eyes, I should have got 2 podiums there, and I screwed myself over twice. So yeah, I'm still learning how to drive rear-wheel drive, shall we say? And yeah, this car is definitely a handful.
It certainly looks it. Obviously, you mentioned you struggled at Monza. Are you suiting this circuit better than Monza? Are you enjoying it a lot more? Or is it just sort of staying out of trouble has played in your favour with some decent pace in qualifying?
I dislike this track with a moral passion. I think I've done 3 laps before I've done practice for here ever, and yeah, this car has probably ruined this track for me, because with it not being able to take bumps, is probably the most irritating car to drive around this track known to mankind. But yeah, I'm getting used to the car now, and I think Hungaroring kind of suits how our car drives. So my eyes are kind of like forward to Hungaroring, but obviously still got to work on this reverse grid. But it should be interesting in reverse grid, seeing how sketchy it is for everyone else, and hopefully some of the Porsches can skid off the track.
Brilliant. And finally, what are your plans going into this reverse grid? Is it, staying out of trouble, or is it trying to redeem some lost points for Monza?
I mean, normally, like Monza, it would be just Banzai and try and get up as far as I could, which worked wonderfully at Monza, going from like near the back to 4th within the first 2 corners. But especially when you can't really overtake here in the Porsche, it's going to be interesting. I think me just staying on the track is the main priority for the reverse grid.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again after race 2.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, there we have it then. We have Nicky Taylor in P3, and a big congratulations to him on the points that he's picked up. But we move on now to our second place man, Nathan Williams. So Nathan, just talk us through that. And before I say that, you are now provisional championship leader. So how was that race?
I think it was just sort of trying not to spin, as Nicky said. The rears at the end were awful. I was 7 tenths down going through turn 1 quite a few laps just because I couldn't carry the speed. So I think there's a few times when I thought the race was over, and then I think it's just I had the gap behind Nicky after eSport and just managing the tyres, trying to see if there's anything I could do to pull them down for learning for future races, and just trying not to put it in a wall.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this track's incredibly abrasive, and it's a tough gig for the Porsches especially. It almost makes me wonder if potentially the Ferrari's got the upper edge here. Just saw how dominant Alan Lar was, and it almost looked like you had a little bit more pace in that Porsche than potentially what you were letting on. But just tell me how it felt towards the latter stages, because it looked like it was a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I think it's already a struggle with this car around the bumps, and then not having the rear grip and to save it is a lot worse. I think we really just really dropped off at the end. Like, we were 2-3 seconds off Adam going into 10 minutes left, and then I lost 4 seconds at the end. So I think towards the end it was near undrivable, so I've made a few self tweaks just then to hopefully make it better for race 2, and I think just learn for the future.
Okay, awesome. And then just lastly, look, it's starting P11 in race 2. Obviously, it's a reverse grid race. There's a number of Porsches in front of you. What's the game plan? Do you think you can go out and win this one, and with the setup changes, be able to, make that happen, or do you think it's more of a case of let's settle for point and strategically look on for the rest of the championship?
I think knowing how the championship's going, I'm aiming just at good points, hopefully near the front of the field, but Sebring is a track where people make quite a lot of mistakes, and it's quite hard to battle cleanly, so I'm expecting there to be a bit of carnage throughout the race. So hopefully, just the goal is to try and be safe, keep out of that, and just see how many positions are getting out of other people's misfortune.
Indeed, indeed. And look, congratulations, awesome stuff. And look, just lastly, before I let you go and get ready for the race, is there anyone you want to shout out on the stream?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my sponsor, PV Williams Sheet Metal, as well as DKMS, which is a stem cell charity which is supporting this year.
Absolutely awesome stuff. Well, congratulations, Nathan, on your P2, and potentially be speaking to you in the second race.
Thank you.
There we have it then. Nathan Williams with your P2 in the first race there, and a big well done to him. As we move on now for Thomas Merritt to interview our pole sitter and race winner from race 1, Adam Lyle.
Well, brilliant. And Adam, what a race. Obviously, Monza was not the easiest racing night for yourself, but to come back with a win, that must feel good, mustn't it?
Yeah, it feels good. I kind of came in tonight expecting it anyway, because it's possibly my favourite car track combo, this anyway. So I was pretty confident.
Brilliant. Well, you certainly showed your confidence. Obviously, managed to build that nice gap at the beginning. Did you struggle with tyre degradation at all, or was it just very plain sailing for yourself in the car?
I did for about the last 6-7 minutes, but it's the final corner that seems to eat the tyre away on this. So the first few laps on that, I just took it a little bit steady there, but I think it was the end of lap 1. Took it a bit too steady, and that's when Nathan came through. So made sure I got past him, and still took it steady, but a little bit quicker to hold the lead.
100%. Well, what are your plans going into this reverse grid race? Obviously, you're right at the very, very back. So, is it sort of banking more points, or is it going for another race win to try and, like I said, redeem from Monza?
I'm not sure. I might hold back a little bit for turn 1 and maybe the hairpin as well. But we'll just see.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time, and yeah, good luck for race 2.
Thanks, Thomas.
And there we have it then. Adam Lyle takes P1 in the first race here at Sebring, and mixed emotions, I think, from the grid there. It looks like the Porsches are struggling, especially with tyre degradation more than anything, lighting up the rear tyres. I'm sure some setup changes will be made. But it looks like the Porsche's almost, the Ferrari's got it almost plain sailing. Although, you know, as Adam alluded to, it was, you know, the last 6 minutes or so was a little bit hairy. You've got to say, almost cruising to the finish. But as it currently stands, Olivia Krzyżanowska is going to be taking P1 and starting the race from there in the reverse grid race, followed by Gajor in P2, Henriksen in P3, Ethan Hill P4, Ollie Watson in P5, Kukla in P6, Josh Mark P7, Carlessa P8, Kachkala P9, and Nikki Taylor rounding out the top 10, followed by Nathan Williams in P11, Adam Lyle in P12. So, I'd like to say, who's your money on? But yeah, I don't want to stitch you up with that, and seeing as I'm going to be running the start of this the second race, you've got to say it's all to play for. I wonder if potentially these setup changes might play quite a difference in race 2.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, Nathan Williams mentioning that he's done a few setup adjustments, so he's potentially one to watch. And like you said, obviously, who's your money on it? You just don't know, do you? Obviously, people like Olivia, we know, had good pace. Josh Martin had really good pace, and he's starting ahead of your top 3. So it'll be interesting to see if they can actually work their way forward, or if they're going to have a little bit of a challenge, so we say, getting through the field. But yeah, I mean, with under 20 seconds to go now, I'll leave it up to you to start the race.
Oh, you're so very kind. As we wait for the lights to illuminate, and the gantry has come alive, and we'll wait for the lights to illuminate and get this racing underway as we hear the engine notes rising. We've got 4 lights illuminated, 6 lights, and we wait for them to go out. And it's lights out, and away we go here at the second race of Sebring. Olivia Krzyżanowska with a great start and gets across to the right-hand side to open up her corner into the first, open up the exit into the first corner, and she takes P1 quite happily. Ethan Hill going round the outside, but Olivia's going to have the inside line into turn 2 here, and she's going to back off incredibly early, and that allows a number of cars to go through, and Olivia's gone off there and just braked just a tad too early, and that's put her into the wall, and not what she's going to want for the start of her race. But that has allowed Henriksen up to P2. Ethan Hill leading the race now, so I'm sure he's going to be chuffed with that. Nikki Taylor up to P3, as we see here. Josh Martin and Catricala now dicing it out for P4 and P5, but Catricala now dropping down into P6. Adam Lyle's up to P5. Only 12 drivers in this race, so yeah, there's room for movement between a lot of them, but as it stands now, Ethan Hill with a 1 second gap to Henriksen in P2.
Yeah, exactly that. One thing we did miss, though, was Nathan Williams getting hit off on the back straight and turned backwards into the wall. That is really not what he needed for his championship hopes. It's really not ideal. Adam Lyle, he mentioned he was going to back off and wait for the carnage to happen, and he's done just that, and it's been almost a bit of a blinding start here. Josh Martin's had a good start, but he has got Adam all over the back. People like Lorenzo and I think it was Nikki Taylor. No, it wasn't. It was Casper. And I believe it was Oliver, wasn't it? Oliver's in the wall currently. So yeah, a few drivers really struggling at the start here. So these drivers are having to be getting, back into the swing of things very, very quickly to not lose too much time. As you see another car spinning backwards into the wall just ahead of Adam Lyle there. I'm not sure who that was.
It was Henriksen. Henriksen down now.
Yeah.
Dropping down the grid.
Carnage. Absolute carnage. Yeah, an interesting start to say the least.
It is indeed, but what that has allowed is Ethan Hill leading by 2 seconds from Nikki Taylor, and Josh Martin P3, Adam Lyle P4. Adam Lyle now chasing after Josh Martin and diving up the inside of him. You're going to say he's going to take P3 away from him. Nice and easy here, unless Josh Martin's got anything to push back against. But doesn't look like he does, and he's going to back off from this. And Adam Lyle now up to P3, so perfect start from him just after the first lap is concluded. He's going to be chasing after Nikki Taylor in that Porsche. Off the back of what Nikki was saying around the Porsche tyres, you've got to say that he's got to disappear off into the distance and put some good laps in now to keep away from that Ferrari, because I think, with how well that Ferrari is on its tyres around this circuit, it's only going to be a matter of time before Adam Lyle is knocking on the door, as he does now, and looks up the inside of Nikki Taylor into the right-hander there, and Nikki thinks better of it, and so does Adam Lyle, and yeah, he's going to have to save this one and just tuck in on the back of Nikki now, and look for them potentially down the back straight before the last corner.
Yeah, exactly that. There's been some mega battles to kickstart this race. Adam's played it really, really nicely. Nathan obviously having that incident, dropping a little way back. Nikki Taylor's had a really good race with Adam all over the back of him currently, surprisingly. Olivia, unfortunately, with that spin, obviously not what she needed, but it's still just in a bit of a learning phase at the moment, as Josh Martin is currently sat on the back of Adam Lyle and Nikki Taylor, I believe, having this monumental battle, so potentially he'll be able to pick up the pieces from an incident that may occur up in front. But yeah, it must be said, Adam Lyle is really thinking about it tonight and really making some smart decisions, and he's going to tuck into the slipstream now of Nikki Taylor, and he's going to very, very quickly pull to the left-hand side of the circuit to open up the final corner as much as possible. Nikki Taylor's going to pinch him. There's a little bit of contact that's being made. Adam Lyle pulls to the outside, brakes later, goes around the outside with the less bumpy part of the circuit, understeers wide a little bit, clips the wall, which allows Josh Martin through. So yeah, not what Adam needed there, but he's going to slot back in with potentially some less damage made. So
yeah, I was going to say, like, it looked like Adam was all over the back of Nikki Taylor there, and potentially Nikki being wary of the tyres on the Porsche and potentially just taking a bit of an easier start. But the problem is that Ferrari is almost balls to the wall for the start of the race, and it seems to manage its tyres much better, but almost a get out of jail free card for him there with Adam going wide and brushing that wall. Potentially a bit of damage to the car, but what that has allowed is the Ferrari of Josh Martin to get up into P3, and it's not going to be as easy for Adam to get past Josh as it would be to get past Nikki in that Ferrari. So this is an opportunity now for Nikki to almost see what's going on behind him and then disappear off into the sunset as I spoke about before in race 1, and that's realistically what he needs to do, because if Adam Lyle gets past Josh Martin, you know damn well that he's going to be chasing him, and Adam making some almost obscene dives to try and put Josh Martin off, but thinks better of it. And yeah, the longer that these two spend battling, the better opportunity that Nicky's got to chase after Ethan Hill.
Yeah, exactly that. Ethan Hill's got a very, very nice gap at the moment. He's been able to avoid the carnage and just gap everyone very, very nicely. Nicky Taylor in a very strong P2, like mentioned. Josh Martin now dropped off the back of Nicky Taylor with Adam Lyle all over his rear end. So he's having to go on the defensive now. Adam Lyle just, he's got that pace from race 1, so he's going to be looking to utilise that in race 2. Just see him, his car just looks a lot more stable than anyone else's, as we're all going to tuck into the slipstream now of Nicky Taylor and approach the final corner. Interestingly, that's Lorenzo going purple in the second sector. Adam Lyle has got some mega pace in the straight, like you said, potentially lowering the rear wing a little bit. He'll pull to the inside of Josh Martin and get that move complete before we've even entered the corner, really. And that is Adam Lyle up into P3, so this could be huge for the championship here if he can keep it on the circuit. And now he's within striking distance of Nicky Taylor, so potentially there was a move coming with a purple final sector as well.
Yeah, indeed. Adam Lyle there, 3/10 quicker than Nicky Taylor on that last lap, and nearly 7/10 quicker than Ethan Hill as he goes very sideways and managed to keep it straight. But that's now allowing, as he goes incredibly wide, and that's now just allowed Josh Martin to go back through. Adam Lyle now under pressure from the likes of Gazior behind, and you've got to say that those tyres are incredibly dirty. And that's going to put him in a really difficult position. He's got to scrub those tyres back in and get the heat back into them, because they're covered in grass and gravel and dirt and whatever not. But Gazior going round the outside, and that's going to be an interesting move to try and pin off. But you've got to say Adam Lyle is going to think better of that, and so is Gazior, and he's going to be able to hold him off for P4. But again, that's just undone all the hard work that he did to get past Josh Martin, and he's have to go after him again, as he's now about a second behind Josh.
Yeah, exactly that. Alessandro doing really well in the Mustang as well, showing what the Mustangs are really made of in P6 there. So mega effort from him. Like we saw Josh Martin up into P3 with Nicky Taylor banging in a purple first sector all over the back now of Ethan Hill. So Ethan Hill was not able to escape like he wanted to. And with 22 minutes, Nicky Taylor can just play this nice and, patiently into perfection to hopefully try and get Ethan Hill here. His car just looks like it's more stable. Obviously, he did mention about the tyres going off towards the end of that last race, so he's going to have to be careful of that. He can't eat them up too much at the beginning of this race, and just has to try and keep them, in the optimal zone, really. His pace is looking really good, though. With Adam Lyle now closing back onto the back of Josh Martin. It's not taking him long, but as long as he can just limit those mistakes, he'll be good. But, a few mistakes creeping in here and there, which is just not allowing him to get that position. As we see Nicky Taylor pull up to the right-hand side of Ethan Hill. Ethan Hill is on the inside, on the defensive, and it will be interesting to see. He doesn't really pinch Nicky Taylor on the outside, but he's going to get to the apex first, which was absolutely lovely and played to perfection by him. But Nicky Taylor is back on the lights. He's flashing the lights, and he's all over the back now. Ethan Hill must be feeling the pressure, as he's got a HFT, Nicky Taylor right behind him, all in the mirrors. A little bit wide of that apex was Nicky, so it's not going to happen at this hairpin like he potentially wanted it to, setting himself up, but he'll go again. And like I said, he's got 20 minutes to do so he's got plenty of time. As we see Adam Lyle now closing back up onto the back of Josh Martin, already a 10th up on his best lap so far, and he's just so much later on the brakes, and he is now potentially going for 3rd place.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Nicky right now. Obviously, he's flashing the lights on Ethan Hill. Obviously, he can see in his rear-view mirror the battle going on between Josh Martin and Adam Lyle. And the longer that Josh Martin holds off Adam Lyle, which we all know that Josh Martin can white line a track better than almost anyone else. So this is a prime opportunity for Nicky to be able to get past Ethan Hill and crack on. And Nicky and Ethan know each other incredibly well, and you got to say almost teammates per se. But as it stands, Nicky's got a lot more pace than what Ethan's got, and obviously Ethan's now in a position of holding him up potentially. And you've got to say Nicky's got to be thinking, I need to get past him ASAP, because if Adam gets past Josh, the next person that's going to be coming for it, as you see Adam Lyle now, and just in the rear view mirror of Nicky Taylor is going side by side with Josh Martin. Niki's got to get this move done and fast so that he can disappear off, because if not, Adam Lyle's going to be all over the back of him. As it stands, Niki's just not got the momentum that he needs. But saying that, Ethan Hill gets a little bit squirrely and a little bit sideways. Nicky Taylor goes round the outside of him and takes to the inside going into the first corner, and that's what he needed. Nicky Taylor a tenth quicker than Ethan Hill, but Josh Martin about half a second quicker realistically than the front two batting away. So it just shows, like, how much time that you lose batting away at the front. You see the Ethan Hill with a flash of the lights on Nicky Taylor to say, there you go, crack on, I'll do what I can to hold him up, and yeah, we'll keep moving. But what we have missed is Adam Lyle down to P7, so obviously something between him and Josh Martin there. But you've got to say, as it currently stands with 19 minutes left to go, that is perfection for Nicky Taylor, Ethan Hill and Josh Martin to be able to disappear off into the sunset and leave Adam Lyle standing.
Well, interestingly, I didn't miss what happened to Adam Lyle. I think potentially he's got some damage. Just going into the final corner, he was very much ahead of Josh Martin. He'd already got the move complete, but ran way too deep into the corner and headbutted the wall straight on, and then hit the rear of his car as well at quite some impact. So I think Adam might have some damage here, as he was very, very slow off the corner and then ran wide at turn 1 as well. So yeah, not what he needed, but he'll be settling back in potentially with some damage, so might have to, you know, adapt to the car's capabilities and whatnot now. Nathan Williams banging in a quick sector 1 here. Although he's 26 seconds off, he's gaining on the likes of Albert and Casper, but very, very slowly. He's only 2 tenths quicker last lap on a 2 minute 1.5, so must be said the times that we were seeing in race 1 has really evaporated, potentially with, you know, temperatures or fatigueness throughout the evening is kicking in. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see how this race is playing out so far. Like we mentioned, Nicky Taylor, so long as he doesn't bin it or do anything stupid, he's got this race very much in the bag here. He's already got a very, very nice gap, so yeah, he's just going to keep pushing on and see what he can do.
Yeah, indeed, and I don't think Ethan's going to be challenging Nicky anytime soon. You know, they are good friends, you know, in the real world, and you got to say, with the times they're doing, Ethan Hill with a 2:01.7, Nicky Taylor with a 2 minute dead 0.2, so 1.5 seconds difference between them, and Josh Martin now closing right onto the back of Ethan Hill, and you got to say it's only going to be a lap or so before Josh Martin rides up to the back of Ethan. And potentially takes him for P2. And actually, do you know what? I'm incredibly impressed with Josh over both of these races, because he's kept himself out of trouble. Okay, he got himself caught up in something in the first race, but managed to make his way back through the pack. Some great pace from him, albeit with a little bit of practice on this circuit. Maybe not as much as he wanted, but you got to say he's doing incredibly well, and potentially in for the running for driver of the day.
Yeah, certainly he's driven a really, really good race so far. Josh Martin in P3, that's really awesome to see. Obviously his first race weekend in this championship, and he's taken to these GT3 cars much better, I think it would have to be said, than the F4 cars. So, you know, he's really adapting to these cars very, very well, and potentially liking this circuit a lot more than others he's been to, and he's closing up onto the back of Ethan Hill now, so I think potentially we might see a little battle on towards the end of the race. Not sure where Joel's gone at the moment, but yeah, it's his...
I'm still here. I was just looking at times. I was just looking at times more than anything, just to see some of the mid-pack, and just to see where they were sitting. But again, we're starting to see this disparity between, you know, the top runners and the rest of the pack, and just sort of the speed difference between them more than anything. As we're sort of riding on board with Kukla here. But we're seeing here Nicky Taylor now in the wall on the last corner, and absolutely throwing it away. Absolutely throwing it away, and that's not going to be what he wants. Okay, he's still ahead of, you know, like Adam Lyle, dropped down to P11, but yeah, you're going to say he's going to have some damage on that car, and, you know, 6 seconds off the lead. So that promotes Ethan Hill up to P1. And what a scene this would be is if Ethan Hill could win this race with 15 minutes left to go. Josh Martin now up to P2 and Cacciacalo up to P3. So hopefully, you know, if Nicky Taylor's not got too much damage on that car, he could be able to push back up towards the front. But yeah, that last corner becoming, you know, sort of the bane of everyone's lives in the Porsches, and caught him off guard.
Yeah, that final corner is so difficult to get right. We've seen it in qualifying, we saw it in race 1. It's so difficult, especially in these GT3 cars. Obviously Nicky Taylor not having the ideal scenario there. But Josh Martin again closing up onto the back of Ethan Hill. His last lap was a couple of hundredths quicker than Ethan Hill, so not much, but every little helps, and there's still 14 and a half minutes left of this race, so anything can happen. Obviously Nathan Williams is now up into P9, so he's trying to salvage anything he can from this race, to be honest with you. Adam Lyle is still in this race, but he's not really doing anything. He's just banking the points, to be honest with you. His last lap was a 2-minute 11.2, so he is really far off the pace. That last lap was a 3-minute 17, so even further off the pace. And he's 90 seconds behind the leader, so it must be said, I think that race is pretty much done and dusted for him. Casper and the two Caspers actually having quite a good race. There's a little bit of a gap that's formed between them now, but Josh Martin able to carry more speed in the brakes in that Ferrari 296, and he's brave getting across that bump. Lots of drivers said they were struggling with that, and his car is very much fighting with the surface and very much getting sideways, but he is now closing up onto the back. His last lap was a 2-minute 1.9, where the leaders was a 2-minute 1.4, so actually he's lost a little bit of time, but it's still not over, and Ethan Hill is going to be feeling that pressure, and potentially one little mistake creeps in, and Josh Martin will be sniffing at the opportunity.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Josh Martin not really making the ground that I expect him to do in that Ferrari. There is still 30 minutes left to go, and I wonder if that Porsche is going to drop off considerably towards the back end. Adam Lyle sort of alluded to the fact that, the last 6-7 minutes or so it was like dancing on ice. Same again with Nicky Taylor, had the exact same issue. So maybe Josh just biding his time a little bit, but it looks like he's struggling just as much in that Ferrari right now. So maybe push a little bit too much, but again, only about 8/10 off the back of him. Nicky Taylor, obviously P4, he's 5 seconds off the lead, so he's making sort of his way back through the pack per se. And gain some of that time, but maybe too little too late. But one thing that we haven't considered is this actually plays out perfectly for Kyle Felvers, who obviously isn't here this evening, but for Ethan Hill to win the race, Josh Martin P2 and Catricala P3, they're not people that are they're not people that had great runs at Monza, so actually it works out perfectly for him. Obviously Adam Lyle's right at the back of the grid, and run down in P11, so he's not going to score massive points. Like, it's almost the perfect drop round for Kyle right now, and as it currently stands, okay, Adam Lyle's now up to P10, overtaking Olivia Krushanovska, which you've got to say, as teammates, probably a strategic move to swap positions, but yeah, actually playing out in Kyle's hands incredibly well, and he's not even here.
Yeah, exactly. He's got very lucky with the incidents that have occurred tonight. Obviously, he's missed it out. Potentially, he's played it quite nicely, where he's not getting involved in these incidents, and Sebring is such a difficult circuit to stay consistent on, whereas others are feeling that pain and degradation. So yeah, he's doing a nice job so far. Obviously playing what drop rounds he wants to miss and what not. Josh Martin was incredibly deep on the brakes there, almost hitting the back of Ethan Hill, almost nudging him through the corner. But this battle, it must be said, is not over, and now he's in the toe with his last lap being almost 7/10 quicker than Ethan Hill out in the lead. So yeah, with 11 minutes potentially that we see that those Porsche's tyres go off quite considerably earlier than the Ferrari, so Josh Martin will be having that in the back of his head and just trying to find a way through at the moment.
Yeah, indeed, and we alluded to this, didn't we? The
Yeah.
Porsche's tyres are just are not going to hold on. Okay, a couple of minutes earlier than what we expected it to, but you can see Josh Martin being able to brake a hell of a lot later in that Ferrari than what the Porsche can. It's been able to clip the apexes much finer. You've got to say it's only a matter of time before Josh ends up getting past Ethan. It's one of those ones where he doesn't need to make any risky moves. You've got Catricala 2.5 seconds behind them. He's got a bit of a sort of breathing space more than anything. You've got to say it's going to come down to a straight or something like that, as you see Josh Martin go very late on the brakes, and almost Ethan Hill braking a little bit too early, and Josh wasn't expecting it, and that's backed him off a little bit. But yeah, both of them did incredibly well not to collide into one another. And great reflexes there from Josh Martin, probably from his rally experience, to be able to not collect at the back of Ethan Hill. But again, you could almost see that as potentially a strategic move. Ethan Hill just braking a little bit earlier, backing Josh Martin up a little bit, and trying to be able to make the gap. But I think it's almost too little too late. 9 minutes 40 left to go, and Josh Martin is all over the back of Ethan Hill again. Only 2/10 difference between them, and that was with the off as well from Josh Martin. So you've got to say, he is the much faster car at this moment. Faster than Catricala, faster than Nicky Taylor, faster than Cotalessa, and faster than Gadshaw. So, as it currently stands, Josh Martin is potentially primed with 9 minutes left to go to win this race.
Yeah, certainly. Ethan Hill has got to be feeling the pressure, like you mentioned. Obviously, having Josh Martin, such an experienced racer, both in the sim and out of the sim, is playing dividends here. And, they could have finished second and third, but Nicky Taylor, just that little silly error at the final corner. Well, I say silly, it's very, very easy to make, but yeah, that has allowed them to get up to the front here and really put in some fast laps here and actually gapping the people behind. Nicky Taylor on a 2-minute 2.1 last lap, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. Potentially he's used his tyres a little bit too much. Adam Lyle's now come back into play with a purple middle sector on the last lap, but he's still running. He has not given up hope, staying strong. And now Josh Martin, like I mentioned, very back much in the tow. But it's whether or not he can, get close enough in the corners and be able to effectively use that toe to get up onto the back. Because so far he's just been sat there really, and not really anything's happened. But with 8 minutes left of this race, Ethan Hill might have to go on the defensive very soon because Josh Martin is running out of ideas.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, we've got to give Ethan Hill a bit of credit here because he's commanding this race here. Josh Martin's not quite got an answer for him at the moment. Just going on board with Josh Martin there, on that previous lap. As Josh Martin goes round and loses P2 there, and he's going to be able to spin that round pretty quickly and get himself back on the track. That's going to demote him down to P4, and Nicky Taylor's going to go up to P3. That's given Ethan Hill the get-out-jail-free card that he needed and promoted Catricala up to P2, Nicky Taylor up to P3. So absolute frustration for him. That's not a corner that we saw the Ferrari struggling on, but it just shows that momentary lapse of concentration, and that's it. It's almost game over at that point. But what I was alluding to was, as much as we're saying Josh Martin was on the back of Ethan Hill, Ethan was doing an incredible job to keep him behind and just putting that car in the right place. Josh Martin was a little bit all over the place. I don't think that was down to his driving. I think that's just him struggling to hold on to the car and the tyres per se, maybe putting a bit too much into it. But what a story it will be for Ethan Hill, for all the troubles and all the trials and tribulations that he's gone through with the PC issues and DNFing and whatnot, to then winning a race. You've got to say he's the favourite right now with 6 minutes left to go, and probably the bookies' favourite more than anything to win this race.
Yeah, exactly. He's driven such a good race, such a good defensive drive, and consistent, I think is the right word, to be banging in those laps almost identical to one another, lap after lap after lap, to be able to keep Josh Martin behind. And then for that little incident to happen has given him a bit of breathing room. One person that has gone under the radar, though, and gone beneath our noses is Alessandro. In P2, in that Mustang, believe it or not, he has found something in that Mustang that, no one else has. And it must be said, he's almost closing up on the back of Ethan Hill. The gap was 2.1 as they went across the line last lap, but it looks visibly closer, and it is closer this lap around. And with 5.5 minutes to go, you never know what may happen. But yeah, it must be said that Mustang looks awesome, doesn't it, running in P2, and sounds incredible.
Yeah, I must say that the Mustang's definitely got the straight line speed, but obviously struggles through the corners with how heavy and boaty it is. But again, it's track dependent. It's one of those ones where certain cars will be better around certain circuits, and actually fair play to Alessandro Catricala there, because he's doing an awesome job in P2, and he's got quite a distance between him and Nicky Taylor in P3. So as it currently stands, the only way for him now is forward, and if he can catch Ethan Hill attacking on the back of him and put him under a bit of pressure. It's an opportunity here for him to win the race, but you know, as it currently stands, Ethan's just putting in consistent laps, albeit not the fastest, but putting in those consistent laps that he needs just to, you know, get through the rest of this race and potentially win it.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that be a story, like you mentioned, after all the PC issues he's had and not an ideal Monza round one, to bounce back like this would be incredible. They've matched in the first sector, interestingly, so yeah, Alessandro not closing up like he wanted to. Ethan Hill a little bit wide of the apex there, so potentially the tyres are starting to go off now, but it must be said he's got that nice gap where he can sort of utilise it and relax almost a little bit, ever so slightly, but that Mustang is very, very scary, looming in the mirrors of Ethan Hill now, almost filling them almost, even from a distance. So yeah, we've still got a few more laps of racing, so let's enjoy it while we can, and hope Alessandro closes up to give us an entertaining battle.
Indeed, indeed. It's Ethan Hill, 1.3 seconds adrift from Catricala. You've got to say that gap is coming down slightly, potentially not enough before the end of the race, but you know, absolutely stellar job from Ethan. You know, I'm sure he'll be incredibly happy with this, and you know, it's actually well deserved more than anything. You know, he's struggled with all the issues with his PC and all the DNFs that he's had, and not through his own fault. And he is an incredibly quick driver, and we've seen that in, you know, previous championships and ones that I've raced with in before. You know, he is fast, and he knows what he's doing. But this might hot up with 3 minutes left to go, with Catricala now only 8/10 behind him. This is going to have to be a stellar drive from Ethan Hill, and for him to white line the circuit to hold him behind. And do you know what? I think my money's on Ethan to make it happen.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to go opposite. Let's make it a little bit interesting. You'll go with Ethan, I'll go with Alessandro. The gap is under a second now, and he's well within that draft. And with the Mustang straight line speed, with this lap and the next lap to go, I think the battle is very much on, and that Mustang is looking very, very strong through that final corner. So on the final lap of the final corner, who knows what might happen. They've matched once more in Sector 1, but that Mustang comes alive, similar to the Porsche, interestingly, in Sectors 2 and 3. So yeah, Ethan Hill definitely cannot relax here. He's driven such a great defensive drive so far. He only needs to do it for one more lap after this one and just stay nice and consistent. But Alessandro he wants this first race win, you know. He wants to bring the Mustang to glory. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. So this is where the Mustang's now stronger, bit more top end speed use around this part of the circuit, and obviously be able to handle the bumps a little bit better through that final corner, as it's a little bit higher.
I don't know. I like the enthusiasm, but I just feel like that Porsche of Ethan Hills is going to be able to hold him off. There's only 8/10 between them, so it's going to be close. I like the fact that we've gone opposites on this one, but yeah, I'm almost rooting for Ethan on this one. As much as I think Catricala deserves it, which he does, and you know, it'd be great for him to get his first win. And he's doing incredibly well in that Mustang to do so. You got to say that Ethan Hill has done a stellar drive, and this is going to be them rolling onto their last lap now. Sorry. So it's all to play for. There's no one else that's going to get involved. There's only 3/10 of a second in their lap time between them. So if I work that out right, there's probably about 1/10.5 between them by the last corner of the last lap. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully Ethan can hold on to it, but yeah, this is going to go down to the wire between the two, and this is what we want to see. This is the exciting racing that we like. We don't like to see the big gaps between drivers, but you got to say, you know, Ethan has done a stellar drive. And just speaking about that, you know, Nathan Williams now back up to P7 and fighting with Casper for P6. Only a handful of lengths between them, and great stuff from him to do so. But yeah, Josh Martin up to P5, Nicky Taylor P4, but Ethan Hill now extending that gap back out to 8/10 of a second. I think he's got this. I should have put money on it. I should have put money on it.
Yeah, Ethan has picked up the pace in Sector 1. He's realised that Mustang is getting ever closer, so he's, turned up the notch a little bit, just pushing really, really hard on those old tyres, which it's a dangerous game, but he's playing it to perfection. This is where the Mustang is now stronger, so a few more corners, Ethan. All you got to do is hold on, make no mistakes, and hit every mark and apex and breaking point that you can. Alessandro's going to be absolutely pushing that Mustang to the limits, even with the old tyres. The gap is almost nothing now. This is brilliant, brilliant racing. After half an hour, and we've got this close gap for the lead, it's just mega to watch and see. As Alessandro is now going to tuck very much into the toe of the Porsche. But I think you're right. I think the gap is slightly too big. The gap has come down and down and down. This Mustang is now where it's strongest through the final corner. He's going to look to the inside. Ethan's on the outside. They almost touch. But up to the line, Ethan Hill has held it round the outside, and Alessandro not quite being able to do it. He flashes the lights to say well done, and 2 tenths at the line. Ethan Hill wins the race 2 at Sebring for the Phoenix Sim Racing round 2 of the GT Challenge. That was a mega race to watch. Alessandro drove a mega race. So did Ethan Hill, and so did Lorenzo, finishing up in P3, overtaking Nicky Taylor. That's something we missed there, interestingly. And Josh Martin falling down to P5. So, yeah, mega race, mega to watch, and well done to all the drivers.
What a cracking race that was. And right down to the end. Do you know, I got a little bit nervous coming into the last corner there. I thought potentially Catricala might have him up the inside, but yeah, Ethan Hill had that closed off, and I'm sure he's celebrating behind the rig that he's sat in right now, and well deserved after all the issues that he's had. So a big well done to our top 3. So Ethan Hill rounds out with a win here in round 2 at the GT Challenge, as you alluded to, and then Catricala P2 and Cottalessa P3 with Nicky Taylor P4, Josh Martin P5. Casper Kugler P6, Nathan Williams in P7, not making the run that he expected, and then Gazior P8, Henriksen P9, Olivia Krzyżanowska in P10, and then Adam Lyle DNFing and finishing 3 laps down in P11. What a race that was. I love these reverse grid races, but yeah, it's one of those. But we'll let the drivers come back to the pits, get themselves sorted, jump out their rigs, and we'll go to a quick ad break, and look forward to speaking to some of these drivers after this break.
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to NerdPC Turbo Tech Reviews. Now today is something a little bit different. Normally we do just reviews on a single item, but today we're going to be showing you guys what you can expect from NerdPC. NerdPC is a bespoke building company where you can get absolutely any sort of style of gaming PC, office work PC, retail, or even for school work. This PC here demonstrates how small they can be, but yet still pack an absolute powerful punch. So from such a small computer like this, you may be worrying about heat, but these fans inside of here keep it absolutely ice cold as well as quiet. Now listen to this. Nice and quiet. Beautiful. Now, we build completely different style of computers. Like I said, from this little one up here, it's all down to you. You get to decide on which case you want to use. You get to decide if you want it all flashy and RGB. You get to decide whether you want it completely plain and black. Remember, we did the hard part of figuring out which components work best for you for your value for money, but you get to decide on how it looks. If you're after something that's in your face, some bright and powerful as this. So this build here is in a Gigabyte C102 glass Arctic Ice case with 320mm Cooler Master fans at the front, 360mm all-in-one cooler at the top. This full white ice build does look insane. And I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. So if you're on the market for a brand new shining gaming computer, or if you want a computer for home use, retail, or office work, it's completely down to you. We just make it happen. So if you haven't done already, go and head over to the website at www.nerdpc.co.uk, have a browse through, see what's on there, or drop us a message directly on Facebook, and we'll do our absolute best to make it happen for you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you did enjoy this video, hit the like for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!
So hello everyone and welcome back after an interesting race too, it must be said. Obviously coming right down to the wire there between Ethan and, you know, the likes of Lorenzo. I'm going to be joined here by Lorenzo. First of all, Lorenzo, how was that race on your end?
The two race very hard. The track was very hard. I didn't practice this week for my job, so I drive only this night, so it was very difficult. At race 1, first corner, I was I don't know, maybe a Porsche crashed into me, and in the second race the same, so very hard tonight.
Well, even with that, you must be extremely happy to come away with a podium here. Obviously, looking forward to the next round at Hungaroring. Are you? Is that a track you're looking forward to?
Yes, I like Hungaroring. I have to try the 296, so we will watch.
And finally, are you enjoying the GT3 cars?
Yeah, I prefer GT3 cars to older cars, hypercars or F1 car is my favorite car, GT3.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time. Congratulations on your podium and good luck for next week. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again.
See you soon.
Thank you.
There we have it then. Lorenzo Cortellessa with an incredible P3. I'm sure he's incredibly happy with that one as well. I will be moving on to P2 and speaking to Alessandro Catricala. However, just some interpretation issues here with Catricala, just because he's actually deaf. And that's one of the things. So we're not going to be able to speak to him potentially, but he is writing something out to us as we speak. So what I am going to do is pass over to Thomas to interview the one and only Ethan Hill for P1, and then we'll come back to me, and then we'll hear from Catricala in P2.
Well, I'm going to be joined by your race winner, Ethan Hill. A absolutely mega drive to fend off the very, very scary Mustang in the mirrors. How was that race on your end of things? Obviously, you got that nice gap and then tried not to panic with that Mustang.
Very nervous, nerve-wracking. Was trying my best not to cook the tyres because if you spin in the Porsche, your tyres then just fall off a cliff. So I was trying my very best not to sort of cook the tyres and make sure I was nice and smooth the whole way around. So I lost a little bit of lap time, but as long as I could stay consistent, I knew I had a sort of a good chance anyway. So I was sort of expecting P2 because I was sort of gonna let Nicky go in front of me and just let him go up in the distance and sort of follow him. But he spun. I was like, all right, I'll take it over from here, and that's how it went.
Well, it was definitely played to perfection. When you saw Josh Martin obviously closing up on you, when he eventually spun out of the race, was that a very much a relief from your end of things? Obviously, must be nice having that little bit of breathing room. And what were your sort of initial reactions to that?
Yeah, it was nice. Well, nice on my behalf. Obviously, congratulations to everyone. Obviously, you spun because obviously the tyres. If you hit the bump the wrong way at this track, you are either going the wrong way or you're in a wall. So just making sure I was consistent throughout the final corner. Obviously, I nearly lost it at the final corner on the final lap, but I made sure to sort of keep my composure and sort of just keep focus really. Because when I saw Josh crash, I was like, try and just keep it as smooth as possible. Just try and just stay consistent is what I tried to do, which I think is what I did.
Brilliant. And, you know, one more thing. Are you looking forward to the Hungaroring, the third round of the championship?
Of course I am. I'm hoping this can sort of kickstart my championship, you could say. I've not had loads of success in recent championships, either here or elsewhere. So I'm hoping this win can really give me a lot of confidence and boost my morale ready for next week and the following weeks to come.
Brilliant. And one more thing, you have got the driver of the day, so congratulations. A very nice, racing evening for yourself, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again after a definite podium or win incoming at Hungaroring. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. Cheers, boys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, then a big congratulations to Ethan Hill on his pole and his win here at race 2 here at Sebring, and what a race it was. And as I alluded to before, we hear now from Alessandro Catricalo, who has written in just around his race itself, and he said, I just tried to survive in both the races. I've learnt the Mustang and it's heavy, but it's fast in the straights. I did a very good setup for staying alive, and the pace was good, but I'm always careful because mistakes are always round the corner. I'm very happy with tonight's results, and the next race will be incredibly hard for me with the ballast and the difficult track, but it'll be fun for sure with all these fast drivers, and I look forward to seeing you next round. Well, a big congratulations to Alessandro Catricala for his P2, and I'm sure he's absolutely ecstatic with that as well. As we move on now to Hungaroring for next week's race, and boy, is that going to be an interesting one. We see the likes of Carl Felvis returning, Jordan Taylor returning, and a full grid back after some drop round runs. So, yeah, looking forward to it, wouldn't you say, Thomas?
Definitely, it's a fantastic circuit to produce some awesome racing, and this championship is proving with some very competitive drivers, some awesome racing with the BOP coming into play. I think we're in for a very good night's racing, and I can't wait to be back for round 3.
You and me both. Well, look, we look forward to Hungaroring next week. We thank everyone on YouTube who's watching, and thankfully the stream lasted up this time round, so it shows that the internet prevailed, and the streams can continue on for forever more. So thank you very much for everyone that watched this evening. We really appreciate it, and we hope you thoroughly enjoyed this evening's entertainment. We will see you on the 20th of May next Wednesday for Hungaroring for the PSR Continental GT Challenge. Our commentators for this evening were myself and also Thomas Merritt. And thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next week. See you later. Have a good evening.